Imagine delivering pizzas to make ends meet, only to find yourself years later charging $10,000 an hour for your time. It sounds like the plot of a movie, but for one man, it's his reality. What started as a humble job in a small-town pizza joint would eventually turn into a story of ambition, unexpected twists, and a drive that led him to the top of the business world. This is the story of a man who didn't just dream of success, he worked relentlessly to create it. A job delivering pizzas may seem ordinary, even insignificant, but for him, it was the beginning of a journey that would reshape his life. Little did he know, the lessons learned from those pizza deliveries would lay the foundation for something far greater than he ever imagined. From those early days, it wasn't just about delivering food. It was about building connections, learning from every experience, and seizing opportunities. He saw the world in a way most didn't, recognizing the potential for growth in places others overlooked. His path wasn't always smooth, but with each challenge, he pushed forward with the belief that success was waiting for him, if he was willing to work for it. But how did a man with such humble beginnings end up charging $10,000 an hour? What was the turning point that changed everything? Stay with us as we uncover the remarkable journey of how he transformed his life and became a sought-after expert in his field. The answer might surprise you. In those early years, he never imagined his life would take the turn it did. Working long hours in a local pizza shop, he was just trying to make ends meet, doing what most people would consider a dead-end job. But while others saw his work as temporary, he viewed it as an opportunity. He wasn't just delivering pizzas, he was studying the people he met, listening to their stories, and observing the small details of their lives. Every interaction felt like a lesson in human behavior, business, and what truly drove people to succeed. It wasn't just about getting a tip at the end of the night. It was about understanding why some people had everything they wanted, while others struggled. What was the secret? Was it luck, talent, or something more? Over time, he began to realize that the difference between success and failure wasn't always about hard work alone. It was about mindset, opportunity, and most importantly, the willingness to take risks. While delivering pizzas, he met entrepreneurs, executives, and even celebrities who were constantly pushing boundaries, each offering him a glimpse into the world he knew he wanted to be a part of. But the question remained, how could he break through the barrier that separated him from that world? In his spare time, he started reading books on business, self-development, and psychology. He listened to podcasts and attended networking events. Slowly, he began to piece together the foundation for something bigger than himself. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was missing something critical, the final push that would catapult him from delivering pizzas to charging clients $10,000 an hour. What was the catalyst? It wasn't long before he realized that his biggest opportunity was staring him right in the face. As time went on, the daily grind of pizza deliveries began to weigh on him. His body ached from the long shifts, and his mind started to burn out from the monotony. But there was still that nagging feeling in the back of his mind, that constant drive for something more. Yet, every time he thought he had found a way out, reality would pull him back. His paycheck barely covered the bills, and the dream of success felt more distant with each passing day. But one night, something changed. He was delivering to a high-end neighborhood, a place where the houses were massive and the cars were sleek, the kind of neighborhood that seemed like it belonged to another world. As he parked his car and walked to the door, a familiar feeling crept in, the feeling of being out of place. He couldn't help but wonder, how do they get to live like this? The door swung open, and there stood a man in a sharp suit, smiling warmly. His name was Jack, a successful entrepreneur who had built his fortune from scratch. Jack invited him in for a drink, and the two began to talk. The conversation started off casual, but soon Jack began asking him questions that made him think in ways he never had before. "What do you want from life?" Jack asked, almost as if he was testing him. It wasn't a simple question. It was loaded. He hesitated, unsure of how to respond. For the first time, he realized that his aspirations weren't just about money. It was about freedom, about breaking free from the constraints of his current life. But as Jack shared his own story of struggle and sacrifice, it became clear there was a price to pay for success. Was he ready to pay it? The conversation with Jack lingered in his mind for days. He couldn't shake the feeling that he had just been handed a glimpse into a world that was far beyond his reach. As Jack spoke about taking calculated risks, investing in himself, and learning to think differently, a fire was sparked within him. It was clear that success wasn't something that happened overnight. It was something you built, piece by piece, through relentless effort and the courage to step out of your comfort zone. But there was still a question gnawing at him. Could he really take that leap? Could he leave behind the certainty of his routine job and venture into the unknown? The tension between his current life and the potential for something greater was growing unbearable. Every morning, he'd wake up and feel the weight of his choices. Should he keep delivering pizzas for the next few years, hoping for a miracle? Or should he risk everything, even if it meant facing failure head-on? One evening, as he was about to head out for another delivery, he received a call. It was Jack, the man who had unknowingly become the catalyst for his journey. "I've got an opportunity for you," Jack said, his voice calm but urgent. "It's going to require everything you've got. But if you're serious, this could be the chance you've been waiting for." His heart raced as Jack laid out the details. The opportunity was big, but so were the risks. Everything hinged on this moment. Standing at a crossroads, he realized that the decision he made now would define his future. Was he willing to risk it all, to step into the unknown, or would he play it safe, forever wondering what could have been? The answer was coming, but was he ready for what lay ahead? The days following Jack's phone call felt like a blur. He spent every waking moment running through scenarios in his head, weighing the risks, analyzing the opportunity. But deep down, he knew that he couldn't stay in his current life forever. He had to make a choice, and it'd have to be soon. Jack's offer seemed like the break he'd been waiting for. It was everything he had dreamed of, or so he thought. Just as he was about to make a decision, something unexpected happened. He ran into an old friend from his pizza delivery days, Mark. Mark had always been one of those people who seemed stuck, someone who couldn't move beyond his circumstances. But when they talked, Mark's energy was different. There was a fire in his eyes, a determination that hadn't been there before. Mark told him about a business venture he had started. He had found a niche, a way to leverage the same skills they'd both had learned on the job, the art of understanding people, the ability to anticipate needs, and the willingness to take risks. Mark's business was thriving, and it wasn't just about money. It was about making an impact. "I'm telling you, man, you don't need Jack's big opportunity. You've got everything you need already," Mark said with a grin. For a moment, everything froze. The world around him seemed to fade away as the magnitude of the situation hit him. Was Mark right? Had he been so focused on Jack's world that he had missed the chance to create his own? The weight of this realization crashed down on him. The decision now wasn't just about taking a risk for success. It was about redefining what success even meant. The stakes had just been raised, and now the choices weren't just about money or opportunity. It was about what kind of man he wanted to become. Would he follow Jack's path or chart his own course? The tension was unbearable. The decision weighed heavily on him as he sat alone in his small apartment, contemplating everything that had led him here. He could go with Jack's high-profile opportunity, the golden ticket to the world he'd always dreamed of. Or he could take Mark's advice, start his own business, and build something from the ground up with the skills he already possessed. Both choices promised a future, but the paths felt so vastly different. He finally called Jack, his heart pounding. "I'm in," he said, the words leaving his mouth before he could think twice. It was a risk, but it felt like the right one. Jack's opportunity was big, a chance to learn from the best, to build his own network, and to prove that he could be part of that world. Jack congratulated him, and they set the date to meet. But just as he was about to hang up, Jack's tone changed. "One last thing," he said. I need you to know that the people you're working with, they're not just in it for the money. There's a bigger agenda at play here. It's not about success or wealth anymore. It's about power, influence. You'll be a player. But the game is a lot more dangerous than you realize. That's when it hit him. He had been so focused on the opportunity that he hadn't asked the right questions. Was this the life he wanted? He'd been chasing success, but now the cost of that success seemed much higher than he had imagined. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. Before he could process it, Mark called, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect. I knew you'd go for Jack's offer. But I've been waiting for you to come to your senses, Mark said with a smirk. You see, I knew all along that the real power was never in the hands. It's in ours. In that moment, everything seemed to click into place. Mark wasn't just some small-time guy anymore. He'd have figured out the secret. The power wasn't in playing by the rules of the old game. It was in creating your own. He had built something real, something sustainable, by thinking differently, by leveraging the same skills they both had learned delivering pizzas. What started as a side hustle had turned into a thriving business, built on trust, people, and genuine connections. No manipulation, no false promises. The tension that had gripped him for weeks finally lifted. He realized that Jack's world, while glamorous and full of potential, wasn't the only path to success. It wasn't the only way to create wealth or influence. In fact, it had its own set of dangers, things he wasn't sure he was willing to risk. Mark's approach was simpler, more aligned with who he was. It wasn't about playing a game he didn't understand. It was about building something that mattered at his own pace, with integrity. He told Jack he couldn't accept the offer. Jack was disappointed, but the conversation was civil, professional even. You'll regret this, Jack warned. But the more he thought about it, the more he realized that the only regret he might have was not trusting his instincts sooner. As he stood on the edge of a new beginning, he realized the most important thing. Success wasn't just about the money or the power. It was about staying true to yourself, even when the world tries to convince you otherwise. Mark's business grew, and so did his own journey. He didn't need to charge $10,000 an hour to prove his worth. He just needed to keep moving forward, knowing that the true value in life lies in the choices we make.